When you think of cutting-edge technology, which country comes to mind? Japan? South Korea? And when it comes to historic wines, you immediately think of France or Italy, right? If the topic is stunning architecture, you might think of Dubai or Paris. Now, what if I told you that the place we're going to explore today could surprise you on all these counts? A country that combines ancient history, unique flavors, and breathtaking cultural diversity. Are you ready? Because today, Bello Mundo takes you to Lebanon, a land that proves that size does not matter when it comes to fascinating the world. Number 1. Location and geographical data. If we're going to talk about Lebanon, we need to start with its location. The country is in the Middle East, surrounded by Syria to the north and east, and Israel to the south. To the west, its beaches are bathed by the Mediterranean Sea. This position is fundamental to understanding Lebanon. Situated right at the crossroads between east and west, it has served for millennia as a cultural, commercial, and intellectual bridge between great civilizations. Now, a curious fact: Lebanon is the only Arab country without a desert. While most countries in the region have arid landscapes, Lebanon is a spectacle apart. The country is covered in green mountains, ancient cedar forests, and, amazingly, even ski resorts. That's right, skiing in the Middle East. In winter, the mountain ranges that cut through the country offer perfect conditions for skiing. And in summer, the mild climate in the mountains contrasts with the sunny beaches of the Mediterranean. Can you believe that in a single day you can ski in the morning and take a dip in the sea in the afternoon? Another impressive detail is Lebanon's water wealth, especially compared to its neighbors. The country has 15 rivers that spring from its own mountains, a real privilege in a region where water is a scarce resource. This abundance has ensured the survival and growth of local communities throughout history, even in times of crisis. And of course, we need to talk about the capital, Beirut. Number 2. Beirut. Beirut, the capital of Lebanon, is known as the Paris of the Middle East, but it also bears a title you might not know, the Phoenix City, and that nickname makes perfect sense. Over the centuries, Beirut has been destroyed and rebuilt at least 7 times. Each rebirth has brought new layers of culture, architecture, and life. That's why it's called the Phoenix City. Every time it falls, it rises from the ashes, more vibrant and resilient than before. Today, Beirut is the beating heart of Lebanon, a place where ancient and modern meet in a unique way. In the traditional markets, aromatic spices, handmade jewelry, and handicrafts share space with small cafes that seem straight out of another era. But just walk a few blocks and you'll come across luxury shopping malls showcasing the world's most famous brands. When it comes to shopping, Beirut rivals giants like Dubai, offering everything from the authentic to the sophisticated. The city also has a breathtaking seafront promenade between restaurants, marinas, amusement parks, and friendly street vendors. The place is an invitation to enjoy the best of the local cuisine and culture. And if there's one thing Beirut knows how to do well, it's party. The Lebanese capital's nightlife is considered one of the most vibrant in the world. There are more than 300 nightclubs, including bars, concert halls, and clubs that make the city literally sleepless. Want an example? You can enjoy a local wine in a charming bar or dance until the sun comes up in one of the region's hottest nightclubs. Beirut caters for all tastes, and for those who don't want the party to end. Number 3. Civilizations. With its strategic location and easy access to the sea, Lebanon has always been a jewel coveted by great powers throughout history. And here's a surprising fact. The country has been under the rule of more than 16 different civilizations: Egyptians, Assyrians, Babylonians, Phoenicians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, Arabs, Ottomans, French. The list is not only long, but full of remarkable stories. Each of these civilizations has left a piece of themselves in the culture, architecture, and identity, making the country a true historical mosaic. The Phoenicians, for example, dominated the Mediterranean Sea and were pioneers in building ships and sailing long distances, turning the Mediterranean into their backyard and creating trade routes that connected the ancient world. What's more, theories suggest that they may have reached the Americas and even Brazil long before Christopher Columbus. There are even records of a Phoenician boat found in Brazilian territory. Fascinating, right? The historical weight of this nation also appears in the name of the country itself. With over 4,000 years of existence, Lebanon is the oldest country name still in use in the world. The origin comes from the Semitic root LBN, which means white, a reference to the snow-capped mountains that dominate the horizon during winter. Not to mention that this small piece of land is mentioned more than 70 times in the Bible, reinforcing its spiritual and historical relevance. Number 4. A country of biblical passages. Speaking of the Bible, did you know that one of the oldest cities in the world still inhabited is in Lebanon? Byblos, in addition to its historical charm, has a direct connection to the sacred texts. The city was an important trading center for the Phoenicians and is associated with the word Bible, as it was a major hub for the production and export of papyrus, the material on which the sacred texts were written. Today, Byblos is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and attracts visitors fascinated by history, archaeology, and culture. And speaking of Christian history, the first miracle of Jesus Christ, according to Christian tradition, the transformation of water into wine, took place in Qana, also in Lebanese territory. This land carries more spirituality and history than many realize. As we said before, the country is mentioned more than 70 times in various biblical passages, such as in the Song of Solomon, which extols the beauty of Lebanon's cedars and mountains. Number 5. Religion. Lebanon's connection with religion goes far beyond Christianity. The country is a true religious mosaic, unique in the Arab world, with a diversity that few places can match. There are 18 officially recognized religious communities, including Maronite Christians, Orthodox, Catholics, Sunni and Shiite Muslims, as well as Druze and other minorities. And here's an impressive statistic. Around 40% of the population is Christian, making Lebanon the Arab country with the highest percentage of Christians. Quite a contrast in a predominantly Muslim region. This diversity is literally stamped on the country's landscape. In Beirut, for example, you only have to walk around the city center to see how different religions live side by side. On one side, you'll find the imposing Mohammed Al-Amin Mosque, with its blue dome that dominates the skyline, a landmark of the Sunni Muslim faith. And a few steps away is the Maronite St. George's Cathedral, representing the strong Christian presence in Lebanon. And that's not all. In the north, the Qadisha Valley is home to one of the oldest Christian monastic communities in the world. Among the monasteries hidden in the mountains is the monastery of St. Anthony Kojaya, which has existed since the 4th century. In the south, the city of Sidon is home to the Great Mosque, built in the 11th century, while the Temple of Eshmun offers a glimpse into the ancient religious practices of the Phoenicians. But it's not all harmony. Despite this religious richness, Lebanon's history is marked by tensions and conflicts between different groups. Number 6. History. As we've already mentioned, Lebanon has been home to no less than 16 civilizations. Each wanted a piece of the pie, but all left their mark. In ancient times, this territory was the birthplace of the Phoenicians, masters of trade and navigation. Cities like Tyre, Byblos, and Sidon were true centers of a civilization that dominated the seas and gave the world one of its greatest inventions, the alphabet. Then came the Romans, who erected grandiose monuments such as the Temple of Jupiter in Baalbek, followed by the Byzantines, who shaped the spirituality of the region with Christianity as the predominant religion. But the region was never quiet for long. For centuries it was fought over by Crusaders, Mamluks, and Ottomans, who brought the Islamic faith and left a legacy of fortresses, mosques, and cultural traditions that remain to this day. In the 20th century, the territory passed from Ottoman control to the French Mandate after the First World War, a period marked by Christian predominance. Here is the revised version, with more energy and clarity. It was only in 1943 that the country gained its independence, a milestone that proved how centuries of history and resilience had prepared Lebanon for self-government and progress. From then until 1975, Lebanon experienced a golden age. Economically, politically, and culturally, it was the point where East and West met in harmony. This land of hospitality and exchange was at the same time connected to the technology of Europe, the money generated by Arab oil, and the proximity of the holy cities of Jerusalem, Bethlehem, and Mecca, the cradles of the world's three great religions. And for those who think Lebanon was all charm and history, the figures are impressive. Even without manufacturing a single car, the country had more cars per 1,000 inhabitants than automotive giants such as Italy, Russia, and Japan. Beirut. It was pure glamour. The city even boasted the title of the place with the most millionaires per square kilometer, second only to New York. But it wasn't all flowers. The political system, based on religious division, began to show its cracks, sowing the seeds of instability that, years later, would profoundly shake the country. In the 70s, these tensions exploded into a civil war that devastated the place for 15 years, leaving deep scars on society and infrastructure. And, as if that wasn't enough, the country faced invasions, regional conflicts, and political crises throughout the 21st century. One of the most tragic moments was the explosion at the port of Beirut in 2020. This devastating disaster shocked the world, but it also showed the resilience of a people who never give up on rebuilding. Today, the territory is home to around 4.5 million people within its borders, a modest number. But the Lebanese diaspora is gigantic. It is estimated that there are around 14 million Lebanese spread around the world. This means that there are almost 3 times as many descendants outside the country as there are on home soil. They are in Brazil, the United States, West Africa, Australia, and many other places. In political terms, it also differs. While much of the Middle East is marked by authoritarian regimes, the local government functions as a parliamentary republic, something unique in the region. Today, Lebanon is experiencing a delicate balance between its internal diversity and regional tensions. Hezbollah, a Shiite political and military force, plays an important role in local politics and relations with Israel. Despite these tensions, despite the ups and downs, this place moves forward, a country that always finds a way to reinvent itself. Number 7. Places. Now that we've delved into the history, it's time to explore the places that make Lebanon a unique destination. And we're not just talking about anything. We start with Baalbek, a true archaeological spectacle. There you'll find the Temple of Jupiter, the only one in the world to have survived the ages. Just imagine, gigantic columns that have stood for millennia, telling stories of a glorious past. The place looks like a gateway to ancient Rome, with ruins so imposing that they will leave you speechless. Now, heading south, we find a city that was once the center of luxury and power in the Mediterranean. We're talking about Tyre, a place that, at the height of its glory, produced a very rare purple dye. Only the very rich and powerful could wear this hue. It was the equivalent of wearing gold on your clothes. If the beach is your thing, the Lebanese coastline is simply stunning. With around 200 kilometers of coastline, you'll find everything from calm beaches to jaw-dropping landscapes. And of course, we can't forget Jounieh. As well as being beautiful, the town is famous for its cable car, which offers spectacular panoramic views of the bay. At the top, the sanctuary of Our Lady of Lebanon is a pilgrimage point and one of the best places to enjoy the coastline. But there's one thing you can't miss on your Lebanon itinerary. That's the wine route. Number 8. The wine route. Lebanon is home to some of the oldest vineyards in the world, and the experience of tasting these labels while learning about the region's ancient tradition is simply unmissable. The wine route is a journey through the Bekaa Valley and the mountainous regions of Mount Lebanon, where wine has been produced for over 5,000 years. And look, this country has known how to make impressive wines since ancient times. The secret: a perfect Mediterranean climate with hot summers and mild winters, which result in incredible grapes, and wines that compete on equal terms with the best in the world. Today, the country exports around 50% of its production to more than 30 countries. We're talking about labels that delight from London to New York, and the experience goes beyond the glass. Lebanese hospitality turns every stop into a party, with tastings of reds, whites, and rosés, accompanied by good conversation, spectacular views, and, of course, the cuisine that makes everything even better. Number 9. Gastronomy. And let's face it, talking about Lebanon without mentioning its gastronomy is practically impossible. This cuisine is a real gift to the world, and dishes such as kibbeh, tabbouleh, hummus, and falafel have not only won hearts but have also become symbols of Lebanese cuisine. Everything here has flavor, freshness, and a lot of history. The result is an abundance of vegetables, grains, oils, and spices, which transforms each dish into an explosion of flavors. And to accompany this experience, you can't ignore the Arabic coffee. Served in small cups, the coffee is prepared by boiling the powder directly in water, creating an intense drink full of personality. In Lebanon, it goes far beyond a simple dose of caffeine. It is a social ritual offered to friends, family, and visitors as a sign of hospitality and connection. It's a time to pause, chat, and strengthen bonds, something that, let's face it, never goes out of fashion. Number 10. Languages and education. Arriving at the final stretch of our Lebanese immersion, one of Lebanon's hallmarks is the ease with which its inhabitants handle different languages. In Lebanon, speaking Arabic, French and English is almost the norm, all thanks to the country's historical and cultural background. French arrived with the French Mandate after the First World War. English, on the other hand, came with globalization and international trade. It's like a language combo that opens doors to the whole world. And this ability with languages has a direct impact on education. Want an impressive statistic? Lebanon has a literacy rate of 99%. That's right, almost everyone can read and write. What's more, around 70% of students go to private schools. So many people are investing heavily in education that you can see how the Lebanese value the future. There, learning isn't just important, it's essential. Oh, and don't think it stops there. The country has at least 42 universities. Yes, a very high number for such a small territory. And these institutions carry on the tradition of a place that, in the past, was a reference in education, with law schools and intellectual centers that influenced the Mediterranean. Now tell me, how can you not be impressed by a country where people change languages like they change shirts? As you can see, the country may be small in territory, but it is giant in history, culture, and beauty. And so we end another journey through the Bello Mundo, this time exploring fascinating Lebanon. I hope you've been surprised and delighted by the stories, curiosities, and flavors of this unique land. A country that proves that the greatest riches don't always come in large dimensions. If you want to continue exploring the world with us, you already know. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and get ready to embark on your next adventure. Thank you for traveling with us, and until the next destination, where new mysteries and horizons await us. See you soon.